Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Donna, and as promised, this is my continuation of part 2 of the body section of the dog sweater. I'm trying to get my lighting here, so hopefully this will help out. What I'm going to do is, I showed you that I had worked on the collar during my shift at work, and I already did a row to start the body, but I want to get everybody pretty much up to date with everything. Now, and I said we were doing the collar first. I had asked to chain 11, single crochet in the second chain from the hook, single crochet across, so I left you with 10 stitches. And then you were going to continue working a single crochet in the back loop only to get the rib, the ridge here, or the ribbing. And you had to do the following. For a small, you needed 34 rows. For the medium, 44 rows. For the large, 54 rows. And for the extra large, 62 rows. I did mine in the medium size, 44. Now, in the part 2 beginning of this, I also had given you the measurements for the chest and what the finish chest should be. I will put that all again in the description below. I'm going to try not to really make this video too long. If I had to keep putting it in sections or in parts 3, 4, so we can all just kind of be on the same page. No rushing, no anything. This is not a competition. You work at your own pace. Now, when I worked the collar and when I actually worked the original here, I used a 6.00 millimeter, which is a J hook. I did that again with this collar, but now I am working for the body section. I'm going to drop down a hook size and do 5.5 millimeter, which is an I hook. So kind of like not having so much, not quite having so much of a gap here. It worked good. It was a test for me. And also what was a test for me is when I did this section here for an opening for our harness, okay? And I'm going to show you that. And here, if I remember right, I think I did I think I came down 5 or 6 rows and then we started doing that. It all depends. You have to figure out where, if you keep a harness on your dog all the time, kind of measure the collar, wrap your collar around, kind of see how far down, kind of do an estimation with the finger and the thumb measurement kind of thing of where that hook is on your harness from the next section, okay? And then do the body. You'll have to play around, getting it for your size dog. Again, not a competition. We are not rushing here. We will take our time. If you have questions, I will gladly answer them. So what you first need to do is place a marker on the right side of your project. So when you ended, I ended on 44, okay? Whatever row you ended on, again, on how many rows you did for the collar, place your marker on the right-hand side. And then what you're going to do is the very first stitch here, when you end, your 10th stitch back loop, I chain 1. I put 2 single crochets in this very stitch here. And then I start putting a single crochet in the space or in an actual stitch. And 2 single crochets in this corner, 2 single crochets in this corner. I counted and I actually have the exact 47 stitches I need. Again, working on the small, it's 37 stitches going this way, 47 for a medium, 57 for a large, and 65 for an extra large. Once you do that, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. So you're on the wrong side now, okay? And these ends we will weave in as we go along. Once you chain 1, you're going through both loops and you're going to single crochet back down the collar length until you get to the other end, and then we were going to actually work on the body and get to the section to where to put the harness at, and then continue of getting the leg section ready and you know, crochet it in, do the spacing, and then do everything of connecting. Then it will be a section where we have to do decreases to get to the body, and I'll show you on the red one. So I'm going to just do a couple more single crochets down, and I will recount my stitches at the end. So let me put this to the side for 1 second. So when we actually do the body, you're going to come down, like I said, I think I did like 4 or 5 rows, and then we did the hole. The only thing we did that is different here is I actually just skipped an X amount of stitches and did a chain and then continue. So I really didn't manipulate the pattern itself. It's just that instead of keep going back and forth with single crochets and all that, I just actually kind of took the collar, split it in half or folded it in half to get to the middle, and then worked on this. That's the only thing different. And I got this inside out, so let's do it this way. There we go. So that's the only thing I did differently. I mean, all I did was manipulated to where I wanted that. Everything else is the same as far as the pattern. The pattern is really simple. But as I said, you'll be doing X amount of rows coming down. And let me see if I can scroll up just a little bit. You're doing X amount of rows coming down to increase it, and then you're going to start decreasing to get to a point that this is going to be the ending of your sweater, and it should fit to close to the top of the tail section. Okay, then this is the part I was telling you about as far as the leg section. As you see, it's a little big because again I used a larger size hook, and then we actually sewn the seam together. And then you have this little bit around the belly that's going to be open so they can do their business, you know, as normal. And, you know, we just take it from there. I didn't finish the legs on this. We will do that on this one I'm working on now. So like I said, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to take it step by step. No matter what skill level you are, this is a pretty simple pattern. It's just getting it to where the right fit and that. So I'm going to finish the rest of this row off camera. I'll be back, and then we're going to actually start doing an increase and then taking it from there. I'll be right back. Okay, again, I'm going to count on camera. If you need to, your first and last stitch, so you're not losing any stitches, place a place marker or a marker there. So there's my first stitch, okay? So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 47. And that's what I have for the medium size, okay? So again, let me find some markers here, and I will put a piece there, and then we will continue. You also will need markers when it comes down to decreasing and where you need to sew your seam at. So, got my marker in place for this side. I'm back on the right side now because I placed a marker. Now we're going to start doing increases. So at the end of this row, you're going to chain 1, and you're going to turn your work. So you're going to need 2 single crochets in the very first stitch, 1 single crochet across the row until you reach the last 2 stitches, or the last stitch, excuse me, until you reach the last single crochet, and you're going to put 2 single crochets in that last row. So again, for a small with the increase, you're going to increase from 37 to 39, medium 47 to 49, large 57 to 59, extra large 65 to 67. And we're going to work on this. So I'm going to work on camera with you to show you this. And then I'm going to tell you how many rows to do until we get to a certain amount. Okay? So here we go. We're going to single crochet 2 single crochets in the very first stitch. All right? Then you're going to single crochet all the way across. And like I said, I'm going to do each video section by section. I'm taking my time. I am not going to rush this. Again, if you're a beginner, don't get frustrated. Don't be discouraged. I will walk you through this. If you're advanced beginner, if you're experienced, if you're intermediate, if you're a seasoned crocheter, you can continue along. But basically, I'm just going to take my time and just work through this thing together. No matter, if it's going to take a couple videos just to do one dog sweater. This way we can work on figures. If you don't have the right amount of stitches of the numbers I'm giving you, if you need to frog out and start over again. And like I said in the very beginning here, if you're a loose crocheter, you need to go down a hook size. If you're a tight crocheter, you need to go up a hook size. That's because of your tension. And you got to make sure you are not missing any stitches at all. Making sure you hit every stitch that you crocheted and you get to the number. For the collar, when I said you do the X amount of rows, don't forget that starting row it counts, but you want to count, that's like your very first row. Then you want to continue, you want to count whatever the X amount of rows was. So actually, even though I did 44 rows, I still had 45. That's why when I did the 2 stitches at the end and the beginning on the side here to get to the body, that's how I got to my number of 47. So I know I did my collar correctly with the number of rows needed to begin this project. Okay, so we're going to continue to single crochet. I will count my stitches online or on screen here. And I will keep making what I have to keep going with this. If I have to do shorts in between to show you what is next as far as like getting the harness section, I will do that. If you don't want a long video, I will try to make a short just to continue one certain section and then go back to a video like this where you're getting pretty much the full following of how to do this. Again, it is not that complicated. You're basically doing just single crocheting. You just want to make sure that you have all your stitches accounted for. I'm at the very last stitch where the marker is. I'm putting 2 single crochets in there. Okay. I'm going to take my marker out. I'm going to move it up. That's my last stitch. I'm going to chain 1. All right, now I'm going to count my stitches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 49. That is where I'm supposed to be at after doing my first increase of my row. Now, what I need for you to do is to do that row, chain 1, turn your work, 2 crochets in that first stitch, single crochet across until you get to the very last stitch, 2 crochets there. I need you to do, for the small, I need you to do 2 more rows. For the medium, I need you to do 6 more rows. For the large, I need you to do 4 more rows. And for the extra large, 4 more rows. So, you're going to increase for the medium, or for the small. Right now you should have 39 stitches. You're doing 2 more rows, you should have 43 stitches at the end. For the medium, we're at 49. I'm doing 6 more rows. I'm going to have 61 stitches. For a large, you should have 59. You're going to do 4 more rows. You should have 67 stitches. For the extra large, you're going to have 67 stitches. You're going to do another 4 rows, and you should have 75 stitches. That's where I'm going to stop at for now because the video is already 15 minutes in. I am not going to prolong this. Once we get that, before I go to the next step, like I said, with the rows you have to repeat. I need you to kind of figure out how the collar, just drop the collar around your dog's neck, kind of place where it is, and kind of see where the middle is. So if you know where the half, when you fold it in half like this, and you have it on your dog, or if you have it on your dog, you're going to kind of like eyeball where your harness is, okay? Once you do that, and the best way to do it, as long as you have everything in order here, that all your stitches would kind of line up, you want to go like right in the middle here. So you're going to go split between these 2 stitches right here. And then you're going to come down and place a marker here, or actually on this side. And that's where you're going to start thinking, okay, do I want to do 1 extra or 2 extra rows? Now for the small, you're going to have to really judge it. I think maybe if you start your first row, or you can do the 2 rows, but on that second row, you want to count like half and half, okay? So whatever, let's take an example here. And I'm going to pause this so I can give you an example. All right, I'm going to ballpark it for you for small. I'm going to work on the figures for the remaining sizes and bring that up after we do our rows. So if you're going to have, for the small size, if you're going to have 43 stitches across, I would do at least 19 stitches, single crochet across. And let me see, make sure I'm doing this right here. Yeah, because there's no more increases right now. So I would do 19 single crochets. I would chain 5, skip 5, and then crochet the remainder 19 stitches across. Then do your last increase, either do that on the very first row, and then on the last row you can do your final increase and just do your normal single crochet across. Let me see if I want to do this here. Try that. If you have issues, just stop, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish my row here. I'm going to see where I'm at and where I actually did my section, and I'm going to walk you through it. In the meantime, I am going to work on my calculations, so I'm giving you the right numbers to work with, where to chain and where to skip stitches. So let me do that. Again, I'm at 20 minutes now. I didn't want this video to go any longer than about 15, but I'm going to just let me work on this. Let's finish those additional rows I told you about. I will make another part of this for the body, and we're just going to keep rolling because a lot of it is just repeating rows. So that's why I don't want to do a whole lot of this on camera, but I want to take my time and explain this to you. So everyone, Continue working on this. We will talk soon, and I will get you the rest of the information that's needed. Have a great night.